Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is removing the snaps. So now we're going to be sanding the mask, and normally I use 120 grit or 180 grit, but for this mask I want it to be really rough, like dirty, like the Part 7 mask is, so I'm going to be using 80 grit. So this is what the mask looked like after I finished sanding it, and you can see it has a little bit of dust on it, and that's not going to be good for when we sand it, so I'm just going to use a rag to wipe that off. So right before you have to spray paint it, you have to cover those snaps so that you can add the straps on later. So I'm just going to be using balloons to cover those. And for the bottom right snap, I realized that I didn't have to cover it, and I actually had to cut that off. And I had to cut a portion of that off because in the Part 7 mask, you can see that from the rotor damage of the boat, it cracked off a piece of the mask. And I also cut the axe mark and cut the entire mask to size. After that, I just cut off the stems of the balloons. So after that, we're going to be using some flat black spray paint, and we're just going to be giving it a first coat of that. So now, after that dried, I'm just going to be giving it a base coat of white spray paint. Now I'm going to be using my knife, and I'm just going to cut scratches on it. And it's important that you use a black primer coat so that it'll show up black when you scratch it out. This is what my scratches ended up looking like. So after that, I'm going to put some black paint in a rag, and I'm just going to be rubbing that together. And then I'm going to be dabbing that all over the mask to make it look dirty and grimy. And it's to get to the look of the Part 7 mask. Make sure to get a lot of black paint around the motor damage because that's where it's the most black on the mask. This is what my mask ended up looking like after I dabbed all the black paint on it. Now I'm going to be using some painter's tape, and I'm just going to be stenciling out the chevron on the mask. So to get the color that it looks like in the movie, I'm going to be mixing some red paint and some black paint together, and I'm going to use a sponge brush, and I'm just going to dab it onto the stencil. Now I'm just going to peel that off. So after that, I just gave it a clear coat, and after that was dried, I sanded it with some 3000 grit sandpaper to get it really smooth. Alright, let's see what it looks like with everything on.